Diamond Realty.
All right, everybody, this is one of my favorite segments right here on the show. We are talking house to home, and normally we have Liz from Remax Diamond Realty and Gina over there, but for some reason you have switched over. So Gina, nice to be 2 feet closer to you, and hi way over there, Liz.
It's her idea.
We like switching out.
Well, it's good. Well, it's interesting we're talking about like switching and changing things up because today's topic is going from a lease agreement to a ownership agreement. So how many landlords do that right now, Liz, and how popular is that of an option?
Well, we get a lot of calls. The misconception is rent to own. We get a lot of people who call about rent to own. And it's actually called lease with option to purchase.
Right.
You can't just pay rent and then expect that to be applied towards the purchase price. So there is a actual contract that says lease with option to purchase. Now, when you do that, you do need option money, non-refundable option money. For example, if you're buying a house for $100,000, they might require that your option money is $10,000, and you'd have to deposit that. We prepare the agreement that states you're going to rent it for, let's say, 1 year or 2 years, and you still have to pay the rent, you still have to pay the security deposit, plus the non-refundable option money. Now, after the 2-year period, you should have your loan in place with the bank so that you could actually purchase the property. Now, the purchase price is set, it's fixed. So if it's $100,000 at the end of the 2-year lease period, you should have your loan in place for $100,000. The owner will apply a percentage of the rent, or in some cases, half of it. It just depends on the owner and their situation. They might apply half of the rent towards the purchase price. So at the end of that period, you get your loan. They will credit your rent monies, half of it, for the year, for the 2-year period. They will credit your security deposit, and then your loan will cover the difference.
I would think, Gina, that this would be an option, as Liz just said, like that some landlords would apply for maybe some of their more tenured tenants, if I can like phrase it like that without tripping over myself. You know, not to say like, okay, well, I just started renting to this person who's 19 years old, that's been 2 months in and everything, I'm going to give him that. But then again, I've got, you know, Jason who's rented for 9 straight years, and you know, like that, he's been a really good tenant, so that may as well extend him that courtesy.
We notice that when we start working on lease with options, you do that from the get-go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because
Interesting.
if somebody's interested in doing that, if that's an option they want to put on the table, we know that right away. The real question is, are there a lot of people looking to do lease with option to purchase? We get a lot of phone calls from tenants/buyers who are interested in that concept. We don't have a lot of landlords/sellers that are, though.
Now, why is that? What's the inherent risk? Because I get the whole thing about the option money, and you said generally it's around $10,000. Right. You know, it's almost like a safety deposit.
It's
safety deposit.
Right.
You know, in real estate, everything is negotiable. The option money is negotiable. Liz's example of $10,000, that amount often comes up, but it is a negotiable item.
Because it's nice and round. Right?
Well, okay. It's not. It's a round number.
But it is arbitrary.
Yes. But that, you know, it's the tenant/buyer who normally says, hey, I've got this much that I'm willing to contribute. And for the tenant/buyer, they normally want to put as little down as possible on option money.
Sure.
Because it's standard practice, it's non-refundable.
If you change your mind,
there's no back door to that.
TikTok game's locked, as we said.
Yeah, that's right. It goes to the landlord/seller, and it's just a one-way door. You give that money, and that's what you're really doing, is you're paying the landlord/seller to take it off the market for sale. And the reason I say we don't have a lot of landlords who are interested in doing that is most people that are looking at selling, and you know, right now the common knowledge is right now it's been more or less a buyer's market the last few years. So sellers are knowingly selling in a bad market because most of the time they need to sell. So if they need to sell, usually they can't afford to do this lease with option to purchase because they're trying to get rid of their property. That's probably the only reason they're selling in a bad market.
Right.
Well, I've got someone that I got a call today. They want to buy land. So I got the terms from him. He wants to pay, for example, $500 a month. He's willing to put down either $25,000 to $5,000. And so I got all the particulars, the details of what he's willing to do. So my job right now is to start calling owners, agents, representing properties to see which would be the match. Is there anyone out there that would fit the bill? Are they willing to take these terms? And he may want to do a 5-year. Normally, you don't do more than 5 years.
Yeah.
Some people want to do 10-year, 20-year. That's not going to work. So anyway, so my job right now is to match. I have to find a particular seller that's willing to do this.
Now, do you find this with tenants a lot? They'll go to the landlord and say, hey, I've lived here long enough. There's an emotional attachment right now. I'm not looking to pack up and, even if I'm going to live on Guam, I don't want to have to move from, Tumon to Barragata or something like that. Would you consider me actually taking this off your hands and buying it and everything? Is that typically how the transaction starts?
It's hard to actually do something like that.
Yeah.
It varies
Yeah.
from case to case?
Yeah, I've seen that. I've got some units that we manage where the tenant's been there literally 20 years. And yes, that question comes up. But normally we see lease options come up at the very beginning where a seller says, I want to sell my house and I'm interested, I would be willing to do a lease with option and purchase. So
Okay.
normally it's something we start off right at the beginning.
Okay, final question before we go to our commercial break. Do you see tenants maybe doing this as a business benefit for themselves, as a profit center almost, where they can say, I'm going to get into a lease with option to buy, and then as soon as they buy it, they flip it and they turn a profit and they sell it to somebody else?
There have been some investors who do that, but price has to be right. If it's market value, then if the market goes up, yeah, they stand to gain. But if the market drops, they stand to lose. So it's just it's a risk they take. And remember, the market is cyclic. It goes up, it goes down, it goes up, it goes down.
And that's where you guys come in with your expertise and your spirit and your smiles, because you minimize risk.
That's right.
I don't know about minimizing, but we can let you know what's coming up.
Well, if I was working with you guys, and I will one of these days, because I told you guys I'm going to split the commission between the two of you and everything.
That's
I will
We're
feel
holding you to it.
I will feel no risk working with you guys. I'm very risk averse naturally. So, all right, thanks a lot. This is a fascinating
Thank you.
topic. All right,
Thank you.
everybody Google that. That's really interesting. A lease with option to buy. Very worth your while. Stay tuned. We're back after this.